Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining. And you are on to the Civilized Presence. Good morning. I just give us 2 minutes to share this video and to get Facebook to notify everyone that we're here. Just 1 second. I just want to be able to share this. Okay, perfect. This is the video. Lionel, can I put it on your page?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to do that. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much. Yes, so I have it on your page now.
Okay.
Yes. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. Good morning. I hope it's going to be a beautiful day. It's raining so much here in Virginia. And I do not know where you're all joining us from. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. And you're onto the Civilized Presence. Our time recently changed from 8:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. So people are trying to get used to the new time. But hello, Esther. Thank you for jumping in from Nigeria. Thank you. Hello, Sandra. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Good morning. Yes, we're just going to get it started. I'm so sorry that we're a few minutes late, but we're here now. Hello, Dee from Virginia. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, Beverly. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, you're on to the Civilized Presence. Good morning, guys. And we are here every Mondays and Fridays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We started with 8:30 a.m., but we're now using 8 a.m. So I know it's going to take you a little bit to get used to the new time. Yes. Good morning, Timothy Hunter. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing the post. I really do appreciate all of you for being here. We're ready to have fun. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, if this is your very first time, you're in the right place. This is the Civilized Presence. And the main focus of this Facebook series really is to help restore civility through meaningful and constructive conversation. Good morning. You're in the right place. Thank you so much for joining. I can see more people jumping on, but we're like 9 minutes late, so we have to continue, and I will call your name later on. But thank you. So if you've never met me before, my name is Louisa Akaiso, and I am a certified civility trainer and a golden rule statesman and a leadership expert. Thank you so much, Marcus, for being here. Good morning. It's so good to have you. So, if you want to know what I do, I work confidently with leaders and professionals that place great importance in themselves and their reputation. And that's going to be you this morning because you made out time to be here. So, thank you so much. Thank you. Ize from Canada, thank you so much for joining us. Sam from Ghana, thank you so much for joining us. Yes, Sandra from UK, thank you so much for being here. Ivan, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name right, but I really do appreciate you for making our time to be here. I just want to let all of you know that I love you so much. So just do us a favor by liking this video, showing some love. Love this video, like it, share it on your page, share it on your personal groups, because together we will be able to build a great community of like-minded individuals. And Facebook will do something really wonderful with the video if we have a lot of interactions. But thank you so much for being here. So I know, the topic of today is really great, and a lot of people have had so much great feedbacks for today's topic, and I'm so excited because I have someone who is very special to us. So for some of you who have never been on this program before, yes, this is a Civilized Presence, and the main focus here is really driving civility back to our homes, to our schools, our community, your workplace, everywhere that you find yourself. There's not going to be any hiding way out. So if you've never done it before, that's okay. You're in the show today. And so you can begin with little things like just sprinkling kindness, just saying good morning to the person next to you, or even just smile or share a compliment, just like I'm going to do this morning. Lionel, it's so good to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. And it's great to see you as well. And just as you were thanking individuals that were coming on, I want to thank you all for taking the time out and investing in yourselves. As she said, that's so important. And it's one of the steps to becoming a leader. So thank you. Obviously, thank God for providing this opportunity as well. But I'm excited to be here. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank God. Yes. Hello, Kate. Thank you for being here from Nigeria. Yes, I'm a person of faith. So I want to say thank you to God again, because this is our 53rd session. We started in the month of April, and we've been paddling this along. Hello, Deborah from North Carolina. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, sister. It's so good to have you in the house. And so we've been doing this every Mondays and Fridays, and sometimes on Saturdays we've had sessions. So, starting this series really was me jumping out of my comfort zone. So I give all the thanks to God for making it happen, because this has not been me. So thank you, everyone. Yes, hello. It's good to have you. Thank you. We're going to have fun this morning with Lionel. He's here, and he is a life coach, and he is the best person that should be talking about this topic. So I'm just going to share with you the definition of civility, and before we continue for the business of the day. And I have chosen the definition from Civility Experts, which I'm an affiliate with, that civility is a conscious awareness of the impact of one's thoughts, actions, words, and intentions on others, combined with a continuous acknowledgement of one's responsibility to ease the experience of others. Example, through restraint, kindness, non-judgment, respect, and courtesy, and a consistent effort to adopt and exhibit civil behavior as a non-negotiable point of one's character. So civility is not negotiable, guys. It begins with little things of saying please and thank you, like I said at the start of the session. It is our responsibility to continuously ease the experience of the person next to us. Pay attention to other people, apologize earnestly if you have to, and refrain from idle complaints. So you are in the right place. If you've never been civil before, that's okay. All I need from you, yes, Deborah says civility is not negotiable. That's correct, Deborah. Thank you so much. I only expect from you is that when you go back, try to use some of the contents that we're sharing here this morning with people around you. Some of us have never said hello to our neighbors. And I'm not here to judge you. That's okay. But today you have received the right message. So just try to say hi to your neighbor. Hello. I saw a post from one of my viewers 2 days ago, and she said, I've been saying hello to my neighbor for like 5 years, and he just finally just said hello. I said, woohoo, civility rules. Okay. So don't get tired. It is our responsibility to ease the experience of the person next to us. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I really do appreciate you all. So the topic of today, for those of you who haven't seen the flyer, hello, Sandra. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, Timothy. Yes. Hi. It's so good to have you in the house. Hello, Marcus. Thank you, brother, for being here. Hello, Arlene. Thank you for being here. You guys are amazing. Hello, James. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just going to take a break from you guys and focus on my special guest today, who is Lionel, and I will come back to you. But I just want you to know that I love you very much, and I appreciate you for being here. So, Lionel, the show is for you, and we're just going to really grind on you today to give us all the great answers. And guys, if you had seen the post, okay, this session is really done in honor of the mental health awareness week, which was last week. We couldn't fit this in because we're both very busy. And I think today was just the perfect day for us to have this session, guys. So we just want to talk about how to work with the special people. But first of all, let me introduce to you who is this wonderful gentleman in front of me. His name is Lionel Alexander III. Okay, the third. Yes. So Lionel is a life coach, and I just love the way he put his bio together. He said, cultivated in the DNA of Lionel Alexander III, is a God fearing, determined game changer whose ultimate goal is unearthing the true identity in man. So, guys, if you have any men in your platform, please share the videos to them. Send them
Yes.
a text message that Lionel is in the house right now. They
Yeah.
cannot miss the time. Suppressed through life circumstances of generational curses and the weight of society, Lionel helps men self-identity, the strength, identify the strength mastered behind the chambers of their hearts, hands, and minds, which permeates the layers of this world. He is a graduate of Michigan State University with a degree in communications. Lionel Alexander III is an internationally known professional certified life coach, dedicated his life to assisting men and attending fulfilling relationships both personally and professionally. He helps men discover and define the leader within themselves. And I think this is so wonderful, Lionel. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be working with you this morning. And so, guys, if you have any brothers, even if you don't have a brother, you have a father. So share this video to your dad, to your friends, to your neighbors, to everyone, your colleagues at work. They need to hear about the topic of today. It's very important. It affects everyone. And this is why I had to ask Lionel to make out time from his busy schedule to be here to talk about something that is so important. So the topic of today is empowering your thought life and enhancing your self-talk using civility. Guys, it's so important that we learn how to work with this special group of people who are mentally challenged, okay? And the society is so quick at just leveling people without finding ways an approach in which we can work, confident. And of course, this has kind of gotten some of these people to go back into their shell and not want to talk about it. And that's not the best way that we should go about this. We've had a lot of success stories and people just being ready and open to speak about what they're going through. So there is no stigma, there is no shame, and this is why we are running this session, that you will learn a thing or two to use for yourself, for your family, for your friend, for that person in your community who's struggling. And just be kind to them and know that together we can do it and be successful. So, Lionel, the way this runs, and welcome again to the show, is that I will just share some questions with you and we begin the conversation. And sometimes we might have questions from the audience. And if we do, I'll pass it on to you. So, my very first question to you this morning, Lionel, would be please explain to the audience what approach that you use in dealing with mental health with your clients. Over to you, Lionel.
Well, thank you for the question. I'll say that this is such an important topic. As you were saying, I deal with men, that's my category. That's the group of people that I decide to work with. And this is such a stigma in our community because, we're taught, or we have this misconception to always be strong and that we can do everything on our own. But really, it's like you said, you need to talk about it. You need to get with a group of people that can kind of help you. And so I'm one of the people out of the group that can help you. And so I have 5 different ways that I approach this with my clients. And it's one is to evaluate your environment and your community. And basically, I'll just go down the list really quick. And the second one is tapping into your resources, your thought life, which we're going to talk more about later, self-talk, and getting connected to God. As you said, like, you're a woman of God, I'm a man of God. And so that's the foundation of everything that I base, my approach to the mental community. And I just like to tap into those really quick, if you don't mind. And so I took some notes down so that I can make sure that I talked about the important points I wanted to today. And so in evaluating your community, basically what that is saying is, I took a scripture from the Bible, and it says, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be." Take a look at it. And so what I'm saying is, where you're spending most of your time in, which is your environment, you need to look at what does that look like? What are you investing your time in? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you eating? Because you may need to change those times, because whether you realize it or not, that is what you're making important in your life. So that's something that you have to take a step back and look at. Okay, what is my environment? What does my community of people look like? Do I have a group of people that supports me? Do I have a group of people that encourage me? Do I have a group of people that take the time to listening to me? Because if you don't, you may need to change, who your friends are. You may need to change who your boyfriend or who your girlfriend are, and just things of that nature. The second thing that I'd like to talk to, I said tapping into your resources, and that's what you heard me mention, that I am a resource. So do you need a therapist? Do you need a psychologist? Do you need a life coach? There's only so much as a life coach that I can help you with, and with some of my clients, I work hand in hand with their psychologists or with their therapist, because sometimes you need more than just one person that can actually help you. And one scripture that I took, because I like to base everything off of scripture, is where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am with them. So that's just saying that God's going to be there in the midst when you begin to involve more people, and you try to approach this from a standpoint of understanding what exactly it is that you're dealing with. The third is thought life. And this is something that is so important to me, because I believe that your thought life is it creates how you operate. Whatever you're putting into your thought life is basically that's going to be your output. And as I talked with you before we even started doing this, I was talking to you about Dr. Caroline and her approach to this in epigenesis and epigenetics. And one thing that she says is that your brain is the most powerful tool that you have. And that's so true. We underestimate what we're able to do. I think we often forget that, before Jesus went back, he told us that we're going to do things greater than him. And he gave us, our brain to be able to utilize and to be able to affect the world. And so getting into the mental health, studies show that approximately 75 to 95% of our health, of our mental state, comes from our brain or our thought life and how we think. That means that if we're thinking negative things, then our brain begins to shape into that negativity, and it begins to hinder us from being able to heal or be able to deal with whatever the mental, the anxiety, the depression, the psychosis, all of that begins to set in. Because when you think negative, that means that we have stress happening in our life. And then we begin to allow stress to overcome us with those negative thoughts. So if we can begin to think positive and begin to find some things that we combat the negative thoughts with, it allows us to actually restructure our brain and to allow it to operate at the capacity that it's supposed to operate in. And I sent you some scriptures last night about how powerful and how God even tells us, what we need to do. And Philippians 4:8 says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. He tells us to think about things that are positive. So that God is telling us that our thoughts are important, and this contributes to our overall mental state. And that if we can overcome those negative thoughts, if we can think positive, then we can conquer anxiety. We can tackle depression and all of those things that we deal with that people deal with on a daily basis. This is basically this is one of the scriptures that the Bible has given us to let us know that we're more than conquerors if we can think positive. Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Right? Epigenesis or epigenetics, Dr. Caroline tells us that if we take our thoughts under consideration, meaning the negative thoughts, we have the ability to renew our mind. We have the ability to renew our mind as long as we are taking every thought under subjection and sending them into the category of truth or lie. Right? We have to separate whether is this thought true or is this thought a lie.
Okay, and then interject for a minute because I have a quick question.
Okay.
And I think that this concept of the epigenesis is such a great concept.
Yes.
Now, how can you relate this concept to the popular saying of thoughts become words and those become actions, and then it becomes your character, which ultimately becomes your destiny? because I know that the epigenesis is focused on your thoughts, the thought process. And so
Mhm.
how can you relate it? But I want our audience to be able to gain more understanding into those
Right.
concepts and be able to use it as they leave the show. So over to you, Lionel.
Okay, so what you have to do is you definitely have to break down your thoughts, right? It's um if I'm thinking negative things, like you were saying, then you said that they become your habits, right? And
Mhm.
they become things that you're doing. I
So
just want to
thoughts
make
thoughts become words, and
okay.
those become your actions, and it becomes your character, and ultimately that becomes your destiny.
Okay. So when you're thinking negative thoughts, right, you begin to say things like I can't,
Mm,
or you begin to say things like I am.
mm.
um, that in itself is beginning to, if we're talking epigenetics, that in itself is beginning to restructure your brain to think that you are unable to do things that you actually
Okay.
are unable. You're giving you're beginning to handicap yourself and taking away a part of your natural abilities by saying that I am not, or I can't, or I am unable to. So it's very important to think that to think that you can and that you do have the ability, because the more you say something, the more you begin to believe it, and then the more you begin to act out in that mannerism of whatever it is that you're saying. So if you say that you can't do something, then when something comes along, when an opportunity presents itself that you're more than capable of doing, you shun it away, because you've already built into yourself, you've already restructured your brain by saying to think that you can't do it. So that's the power in words. It's when we begin to believe these confirmations, because essentially that's what you're doing. You're confirming something, and that confirmation begins to become a stronghold. And so what is a stronghold, right? When I say stronghold, a stronghold is truth built on error,
Mm, mm.
right? So it means that you begin to tell yourself all these lies over and over again, and you've built that into your truth. So it's so important that we begin to speak affirmations, or to speak positivity. I have a friend actually on here. Um, her name's Ariel. She does affirmations on a daily basis on Instagram. Right? She says that I am, I can, I will. We're affirming ourselves. We're restructuring our thought life. And by
Mm,
restructuring our thought life, we restructure the word. We restructure our words and what we say,
mm.
and by restructuring what we say, we begin to build truth into our lives. I think we have to remember how important your words are, right? How did God create the world? He spoke it. What did he always say? He said that I am that I am. So these are things that are letting us know that there is power in your words, there is power in your thought life. So when you begin to think things, you begin to say negative. When you begin to think negative things, as I keep saying, you begin to create that your brain, you're limiting it. And so I hope I answered your question. If not, let me know what.
Absolutely. You did. And I love that because I just see we are all about people going back home to be able to use something. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
the mental health, concept or issue has been here like forever. Now we're
Yes.
trying to change the narrative
Yes.
because it's been associated with shame, it's been associated with stigma, and we're finding another path. And people like you, wonderful people like you, have been able to find some path that can help us and has worked successfully, especially with your clients and with people around you. And
Yes.
so, it's great for us to share this in its entirety for people to be able to grab it and go. Now, I'm going to come back to this, the concept of the self-talk and affirmation.
Mhm.
Sometimes we might assume that everyone understands how to create these affirmations, but
Yes.
for someone who has never done this before, are there some kind of steps that you can share with us, with the audience, on how to go about it with the self-talk and affirmation, especially someone who has never done it before? Over to you.
Yes, so self-talk is so important. And actually self-talk I'm not even talking about your internal self-talk. I'm talking about external self-talk.
Mm,
And it goes more than just affirmations. It goes to more than just it goes to actually talking. I'm
mhm.
laughing while I'm saying this because it was something that was difficult for me to do, but it's something that I do with my clients, is that it's so important for you to talk out loud, in period. period. When you're struggling with something, that's right. An affirmation a day keeps the lies away. I like that. When you're struggling with something, talk about it out loud. I know the other day that I was struggling with something myself. And when you talk about it out loud, it brings it to light, right? What does something happen when it's brought to light? That means that there's less darkness involved in it. There's less darkness. That means that there is the lie is unable to hide itself. By shedding light on something, you're getting rid of the darkness in that lie, and it's exposed to the truth. So self-talk is so important. I have three different ways three different ways to improve your self-talk, right? One is to be kind to yourself. When you're talking to yourself, like you said, this isn't the moment to talk negatively about yourself. This is the moment to reinforce that you are more than powerful, right? You are beautifully and wonderfully made, and that you can do something. Use your self-talk to your advantage. I actually went into that while I was saying it, like be kind to yourself and use it to your advantage. Use this time to actually get by yourself if you can, and just begin to, you have to find some things that a foundation. And for me, that's the Bible, right? I find scriptures that I am able to use that affirm who I am as a man of God. And so I say that is something that you need to do. And three is listen to yourself, right? When you're talking aloud, you actually need to take the time to listen to what you're saying. This isn't just a time for you to, you don't get out there and you don't just begin to ramble, right? You have to take the time and you actually have to listen to what you're saying, because even in the self-talk, even when you're talking aloud, you're still saying something of importance. There's still value in everything that you're feeling in that moment. And so by saying it aloud, you're able to pick it apart. Right. So the 3 points, just to make sure that everybody got that, is to be kind to yourself. Right. Use the moment of self-talk as an advantage. Use self-talk as an advantage. Right. And then the third point is to listen to what you're saying.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm just going to go back to the audience. And guys, thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Arlene. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate you for being here. Hello, Dee. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Ben. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Nana. Thank you so much for being here. And guys, can you just leave in the comment box below and let us know where you're joining us from? I really do appreciate your making out time to be here to talk about this very important, thing that affects everyone. It does. It affects everyone. I'm sure you have someone in the family or in the community who is facing these challenges. And so we really have to just kind of change our thought process, not just those people who are going through it, but even some of us who are going to be helping them. We have to change the way we think to be able to support them. And I loved how you've just been able to put that together and just break it down for you to learn about self-talk, because I would say that self-talk is something that people do not embrace right away. I struggled with it too. And so it takes a lot for you to get in the process and get in the habit of just doing the self-talk and affirmation. It takes a lot. So thank you so much. So I have another question for you. Now, I love this concept that you shared. I think it's amazing. It is great. Now, from a practical standpoint, and of course, I know you've been working with people who are going through this. If you had, for example, a member of a family or someone who is mentally challenged come to you. So let's say we already have this situation already established in a family, and they need to be able to move forward. And I can imagine that sometimes it might be challenging to even have a conversation at that point, or even begin to tell them about what to do and what not to do. Now, is there any kind of steps that you can share or anything that you might suggest as the best way to go about it? Because, of course, the main focus of this program really is civility, which is positive people's treatment. And so I want people to think differently and behave differently when they step out of the show. So if they have someone around them, what are the easy steps to take? Over to you, Lionel.
Okay, thank you for that question. I think this goes back to my first point in approaching, someone that may be dealing with any of the issues that we've listed today, and that you're part of the environment. You're in part of the community. And so oftentimes anyone that's dealing with this, in my experience, are looking for someone that is able to kind of understand what they're going through, right? You may have sympathy and not empathy, but the important thing is to just take the time and to actually listen to what they're trying to tell you. And from that gauge, you can be that voice of reason that can kind of give them words of encouragement. Sometimes they may not be able to sometimes people don't even know where to start with self-talk. Sometimes people don't even know their identity. You may be able to guide them. I think that's where you and I come into play, and counselors and therapists, right? You may be able to guide them to people that may be able to give them the additional or tap them into the additional resources that they may need. As a person who isn't a life coach or isn't a counselor or isn't a therapist, the most important thing that you can do is listen, right? You have to definitely listen to the warning signs and listen to maybe you need to get, more help. Maybe they need to be checked into a place. And I'm not trying to, sound cruel or anything, but oftentimes I don't think we take for granted what they're saying. If someone is opening up to us, we need to take out the time, right? You need to take the time out to listen to what they're saying. And you need to actively listen to it. You need to be able to pick it apart, because if you don't, you could totally miss the warning signs, and you could miss preventing something from worse happening. So you're part of the environment. You're part of the community. You need to try to make the environment the most comforting and as receptible to what they're saying. I think that's my approach, and that's the advice that I give to people when they ask me, "Hey, how do I help this person?" Well, oftentimes it's just lending an ear.
And I think that is great. Welcome, Ekerete. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome, Reggie. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome, Ascon. Thank you so much for joining. And I have a question from one of the pages where this is airing. It says, have you ever thought of making this concept into a movement? It's a real powerful driver. And another person says, do you recommend exercises in the improvement of mental health? Thank you so much, Dee, and thank you so much, Sandra. So over to you, Lionel. Did you hear the question? Two questions.
Yes, I heard both questions.
Okay.
And so it's in regards to making this a movement. I guess not. I guess it's just something that I picked up in research. I'm very fascinated with the brain and how it works. And so this is just something that I stumbled upon that I just thought was incredible. I've always known the importance of thought life, but, I never thought about making it a movement. It's just something that I help my clients, understand the importance of it. In regards to the exercise, that's a great point. And actually epigenesis, Dr. Leaf, she talks about how food can affect you. And you have to think, you heard this saying, you are what you eat, right?
Exactly.
So a lot of people go to food and because they're depressed or because they're stressed, they have these different outlets that they use, and food is something that people go to it when they're stressed, and they begin to become overweight and they begin to put on weight. And excuse me, Holy Spirit, bring that back. Thank you for putting that question up there. And so once you begin to eat healthy, you begin to feel better, right? That's why this is such a big thing. That's why you see fitness, and that's why you see people becoming vegans, because they're changing their habits. They're changing what they do in order to make their mental state better. So I definitely recommend exercising, because that's a great resource to relieve stress. And that is also a way to get your brain moving, to get your body moving, and to get everything flowing. I would also add the food bit in there. That's why you heard me say, what are you eating? What are you listening to? Because all of that has a impact on your mental state, your mental health.
Thank you so much. And guys, I want to say a big thank you. I know we had another question, but I'm not sure you can take it now. I have one more question. It says, what are your suggestions on how to stay mentally strong and sound?
Oh, great question. I'm not sure, what your foundation is. But as I stated earlier, the majority of my clients, actually all of my clients, they have a Christian foundation. And so if you don't, what I would do is I would find some different poems. I would find some different words of encouragement on the internet. These are going to be your truths in those moments when you begin to feel like you're not enough, in those moments where you begin to doubt what you're able to do, when you begin to doubt why you were created, when you begin to lose your identity. Having something to restate, that what you are and who you are and whose you are and what you're here for, you have to have a reason. You have to have a purpose. Everyone goes through life looking for their reason for being here. So I would say to find something that gives you that gives you strength, that encourages you, so that you can always pull that up in your time of need. The other thing is as someone just says, is like, what are you listening to? What type of music are you listening to? What type of shows are you watching? What are you reading? You have to put something in yourself of value. If you're not putting anything in yourself that's worth anything, you're not going to be able to pull from anything. So whatever you're putting into yourself, when you're down and when you're out, when you really need something, if you're not putting anything of truth, if you're not putting anything that encourages you, you're not going to be able to pull that out of you. So you have to look at what you're putting into yourself. It's so important that we find something that gives us strength. That we find something that's greater than us, that we find something that motivates us, because that's what's going to pull you through. And that's why I say that it's so important. I put that as your community and your environment is so important. And so you have to make sure that you're in a conducive environment. What are your friends like? I just can't stress enough that you have to pay attention to what you're watching, because the world right now, you can't rely on the world to give you what you need. The shows that are out right now, the music that is out right now, is not there for the betterment of you.
That is true. That is true. Thank you so much. Oh my God. I see. This is a topic that I knew was going to take. Now, this is another question. What are the things we need to look out for to help identify the signs and symptoms of common mental health issues? So that's going to be the last question, guys. If you leave us another question, I will have to send it to Lionel later. But thank you so much for being here. Can you take that question, or you want to take it later, or can you take it now?
I can take it now.
Okay. So, did you hear the question, or you want me to read it again?
Can you read it again for me, please?
Okay. So, what are the things we need to look out for to help identify the signs and symptoms of common mental health issues? Thank you so much, Dee.
Okay, that's a great question. Some of the things that I would say is, what can you look out for? I would look out to how a person is moving, their body movements. Is it sluggish? Is it slower? Has it changed since the last time that you've seen them? How are they talking? This is a very great indicator. What is a person saying? Is a lot of what they're saying, sad? Is a lot of what they're saying, downing themselves? Because oftentimes people that are struggling in an area, their entire person changes, right? They remove themselves. They begin to speak negatively about life, just about things in general. And so it's so important that you're just observative as to what they're saying, how they're moving, their behaviors, and all of that in a person. So if you have a friend that has done a 160, or you see that they're beginning to remove themselves, it's always good to check in on them. I have a group of friends that we often check in on each other every once in a while, just to make sure that we're okay. And if someone doesn't respond, then we kind of know that they may be experiencing something, right? So it's important to make sure that you're checking in on your friends and just watching their mannerisms. I guess if that's your friend or if that's your family member, you know how they operate. So anything that is amiss, I wouldn't take that for granted. If you see something that even the slightest change, I would check in on that and see what it is. And even if it's nothing, they'll still appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Lionel. This is so much great nuggets. I really appreciate you breaking this down, and because I have learned a lot, and this is very important for everyone. Guys, if you're just joining us, hello, Ihar. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you making out time to be here. So if you are just joining us right now, guys, you need to go back and watch this video, because Coach Lionel has shared really great contents that is going to help you, or anybody who has this who is mentally challenged. Okay, so there's nothing for us to be ashamed about. The whole world is standing together and holding hands with these special people and just saying, yes, you can. We're ready to work with you on this. But it's important that you learn how to help them. Because if they cannot help themselves, sometimes they don't even know where they are, like Coach Lionel said, you should be able to offer some kind of help. You must be ready to listen. And that's part of what we do here in the Civilized Presence, is really saying that you should pay attention to the person next to you. Because if you do not pay attention, you will not even notice that things have begun to change. Pay attention, try to talk to them. When you see that they're behaving differently, try to have a conversation. Show them that you care, show them love. Just be there for them. Let them be able to confide and talk to you. But if you just kind of push them away, and sometimes we get so busy, then we cannot get the best for these people. Thank you so much. Arlene says, how do we stay in contact with you, Lionel, for further information? Of course, Arlene, thank you for asking that, but we're going to speak about that shortly. Yes, so Coach Lionel is all the way in Atlanta. And let me tell you, he is just a phone call away, and I would be happy and ready to share his information here. He works with a lot of men. Coach Lionel, I don't know if you work with women too, just in case they're having the same problem. But if you have anyone in your family that is mentally challenged or has anything that you think could be helpful, please let us know. Okay. And you can reach Coach Lionel on Facebook. You can add him on Facebook. He's on Instagram as well. You can search for him, Lionel Alexander. You can add him on Instagram, follow him on Instagram, add him on Facebook, send him a message. If you still do have a question, hello, Ladonia. Thank you so much for being here. Leave the questions here in the comment box below. I will tag him, and he will be happy and ready to answer those questions. Okay. So, Coach Lionel, I want to say a big thank you. And so, guys, for those of you who are just joining us, the topic of the day was empowering your thought life and enhancing your self talk using civility. Now, if you've never done positive self talk before, because it's important that we state that it's positive. If you've never done that before, Coach Lionel was able to share some great contents and steps to help you begin the process and be successful at doing it. Now, it might not be so easy the first day, but you have to stay on it. So just go back and watch the video and jot down all the points and try again every single day. Try again, try again. And like Coach Lionel said, if you have someone around you who is mentally challenged, learn to listen, guys. Learn to listen. So, Coach Lionel, I'm about to let you go, but just before you leave, what does civility mean to you? We always love to learn that from every guest that comes. It could be one word, it could be a phrase. What do you have to say to us? What does civility mean to you? Over to you, Coach Lionel.
Civility to me means, I believe that we all have a story. I believe that we all have a purpose. I believe that we're all responsible for one another. So in civility, for me, it is doing what you need to do to figure out why God put you on this earth. And it is your responsibility to minister that story, to minister that testimony, to help others that may have experienced what you've experienced, or to just be a resource for them. So civility, let me bring it full circle for you. So civility to me is walking in your purpose, and helping others.
Mm, mm. Thank you so much. Hello, my friend Wasim from Dubai. It's so good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. So, civility is all about going back to your roots, humanity. Do not forget human kindness, just being good to people because they're human. Don't expect anything in return. Just sprinkle kindness as you go. As you leave the session today, thank you so much, Rico. Learn to sprinkle kindness to the person next to you. And Coach Lionel, you did such an amazing job. I want to say that when you do have time again in your busy schedule, you would try to come out and be here with us again and just share some more content, because we really enjoyed working with you. So guys, it's at the top of the hour, but just before I let you go, yes, hi Wasim, it's so good to have you. Thank you. Before I let you go, I just want to let you know, for those of you who are interested in our certification program, the one in Virginia is on November 26th, starting Civility at Work Courtesy Coach. And this is for professionals, individuals, whoever is interested in gaining certification in civility at work, working with the corporate or courtesy coach, working with young people. Now, you can either go to my website, it's www.thecivilityacademy.com, or you can send me a message on Louisa at the civilityacademy.com, or even just sneak into my inbox. That's okay, and send me a message. And I want to say thank you guys. And if you want to be on our show, if you want to be here as a guest, send me a message. But I would prefer an email for that, Louisa at the civilityacademy.com. And let's just get chatting. And thank you so much, Coach Lionel. And our audience really enjoyed you. Everyone is saying great things to you. Blessings to you from Ladonia. We are all saying that we love you and we are proud of you and all the work that you're doing and for making your gift available to help this wonderful group of people. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to see you again. Bye for
Thank you.
now.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate everybody that came out and listened. And like I said, I took the time to invest in yourself. So I'm more than thankful. I'm honored that you had me on this show. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.